Imperiled planet. I care about the billions of people I've never met and never will meet, including people who might be called my nation's enemies. I also care about our fellow creatures, brown trout and blue herons, raccoons and gopher tortoises, red dragonflies and royal palms, barrel cactus and woodland ferns. I care about all of these for a lot of reasons, especially because I'm a committed follower of Christ, and people with this commitment, it seems to me, can't help but care about all these things. As a follower of God in the way of Jesus, I've been involved in a profoundly interesting and enjoyable conversation for the last 10 years or so. It's a conversation about what it means to be a new kind of Christian. Not an angry and reactionary fundamentalist, not a stuffy traditionalist, not a blasé nominalist, not a wishy-washy liberal, not a new agey religious hipster, not a crusading religious imperialist, and not an overly enthused Bible-waving fanatic. But something fresh and authentic and challenging and adventurous. Around the world, millions of people have gotten involved in this conversation, and more are getting involved each day. One reason we keep calling it a conversation is that we can't find a short way of describing it yet. The couple 100,000 people who have read my previous books seem to find in them some hope and resonance with things they've already been thinking and feeling, including a suspicion that the religious status quo is broken, and a desire to translate their faith into a way of life that makes a positive difference in the world. They share my belief that the versions of Christianity we inherited are largely flattened, watered down, tamed, offering us a ticket to heaven after death, but not challenging us to address the issues that threaten life on earth. Together, we've begun to seek a fresh understanding of what Christianity is for, what a church can be and do, and most exciting, we're finding out that a lot of what we need most is already hidden in a trunk in our attic, which is good news. So, this is a religious book, but in a worldly and unconventional and ultimately positive way, a way some non-religious people would probably call spiritual but not religious. Unconventional questions. I've always had a propensity to think a few degrees askew from most people, especially about religion. And not only am I often unsatisfied with conventional answers, but even worse, I've consistently been unsatisfied with conventional questions. For instance, when I was a pastor, people often asked my opinion on hot-button issues like evolution, abortion, and homosexuality. The problem was that after discussing those items in all of their importance and intensity, I couldn't help asking other questions. Why do we need to have singular and firm opinions on the protection of the unborn, but not about how to help poor people and how to avoid killing people labeled enemies who are already born? Or why are we so concerned about the legitimacy of homosexual marriage, but not about the legitimacy of fossil fuels, or the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and in particular our weapons as opposed to theirs? Or why are so many religious people arguing about the origin of species, but so few concerned about the extinction of species? Then I'd wonder, if we religious people have exclusively seized on a couple of hot-button questions, what other questions should we be thinking about that nobody's asking? That's the kind of wonderment that can turn into an audiobook, like the one you're listening to right now. Part of what it means to be a new kind of Christian is to discover or rediscover what the essential message of Jesus is about. As I explained in some detail in The Secret Message of Jesus, more and more of us are realizing something our best theologians have been saying for quite a while. Jesus' message is not actually about escaping this troubled world for heaven's blissful shores, as is popularly assumed, but instead is about God's will being done on this troubled earth as it is in heaven. So people interested in being a new kind of Christian will inevitably begin to care more and more about this world, and they'll want to better understand its most significant problems, and they'll want to find out how they can fit in with God's dreams actually coming true.